Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Talent Management Institute's 2020 in Review series. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Mukta Arya, Head of Human Resources Asia Pacific for Societe Generale. Mukta, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Lawrence. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start with you. As an executive, as a senior leader, what have been your biggest challenges in working from home and working remotely this year?
This year, as for everyone, has been different. In the beginning, we did have some teething troubles when people had to work from home throughout. We did launch our work from home policy a few years ago, but it was limited to fewer departments and fewer people. Fortunately for us, our IT infrastructure was quite strong, so it was quite easy for us to, after the initial teething troubles, to move our operations to work from home, and it worked quite well. I must say that people have been quite resilient and have been able to perform even during this time. So yes, there were issues, but we have overcome that, and now it has become a way of life.
Yeah, that's very good to hear. You know, uh, Throughout the year, it's certainly lots have happened, lots has changed, but I think one of the things that kind of sticks out is, the importance of the human element to business, right? It's not just about employees, and it's not just about, health benefits. It's, physical and mental and emotional well-being, right? So how do you think, the business view of human resources, so to speak, has changed, and what are, for example, your organization doing to really take care of its people?
In fact, during this time, the importance of human resources has become much more important. And as you mentioned, it's not only physical, but it's also mental well-being, which the issues which came to the fore. And for us, I think it was quite important to remain connected with employees. And we did see that our managers are spending, and HR, for example, spending more time with employees, even though virtually, so virtual catch-ups, meetings, etc. We spent time discussing, with the senior management about what are the new things that we need to work on during this time to keep the morale high. So we have e-town halls, we have communication from senior management, but also mid-managers. We encourage them. We had a number of sessions on mental well-being, on resilience, so we call it the bouncing back series, for employees, and tips and tools so that people who need that support, or who are grappling with homeschooling, grappling with, husband, wife, children in the same home, working on their laptops and tablets at the same time. How do they actually manage it? So we did from our side a number of things to help employees. We also have an employee assistance program, with a direct hotline to counselors, etc. And we think that it's important to provide that support. People may or may not use it, but I think the satisfaction that there is support, there is somebody to talk to when they need help, etc., is quite important. So for me, human resources has become all the more important. As a bank, for us, for example, human resources is what we have, and if they are not happy, if they are not satisfied, or if they are not feeling well mentally, physically, then it's not going to help our organization. So yeah, for us, it's quite important.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Another thing that, we've seen this year is several events and lots of activism that has led, companies to rethink their strategy related to diversity, access, equity, and inclusion, right? And a lot of it has been local here where I am in the US, but a lot of it has been international as well, protests, in so many countries around the world. So my question for you is, what are the biggest impacts of these global, racial activism protests on businesses?
For us, I think what it has done in APAC, and I'm talking about the 12 countries that we are here in APAC, is more awareness about diversity and inclusion issues. So people are more aware of it, people are talking about it, and people would like organizations to have more initiatives which are related to equality, whether it's gender, whether it's cultural, LGBT plus, or differently able. So for me, what I see in my organization is that increased awareness in employees about these particular topics, and frankly talking about it, and also raising it in different forums about what we are doing about it. So we do have a diversity and inclusion council in APAC, and we have board networks, which I just mentioned, the topics which are there. And this year we did have a number of initiatives which were increased and enhanced compared to last year's.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we did a survey, we do pulse surveys, and one of the section was on diversity and inclusion, and a number of employees are aware of the topic, which is much more than what was earlier,
Mm-hmm.
as well. They see what are the actions being taken, so they see much more of that. So for me, I would say that it has created more awareness about this topic.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, awesome. And do you think that it has had any, particular difference? You're talking about these programs and activities that you guys do. Has there been anything different or new, specifically because, there's more of a remote workforce?
Um, I don't think that has changed, but it has given more time to people to think about these topics. So
Mm,
when we have our town halls, when we have our forums which are related to HR topics, we do see a number of people who are participating in it. We have a lot of suggestions from people, about what we should be doing, about where they see, or when I have, for example, catch-ups with people, or my HR business partners have catch-ups with employees, it does come out. So for me, what I feel is there's no difference when they were here, but maybe they had more time to think about it
yeah.
when they are working virtually. So there are more things that are going on in the mind of people, and they're asking, suggesting more, which I think is really good, because I think a lot of people are also reading more now when they are working from home or remotely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's great to note, when we think about challenges of a virtual environment, that's certainly a benefit of a virtual environment, right? Like it gives people a new avenue of being able to, participate in those types of things. So that's really great to hear. What do you think have been the biggest challenges and changes that have happened this year in terms of talent management practices?
There have been quite a few challenges, especially because for the process per se, maybe not, because we were anyway in 12 countries, and our headquarters is in Paris, so we were anyway virtual, in a number of things. The processes and all remain the same. The mode of delivery for some of our flagship programs, some of the big programs which we used to do in Hong Kong, for Asia Pacific region, or people used to go to Paris, they have all gone virtual. So, I mean, completely virtual online. And I must say that it was a little bit of stretch in the beginning, because we were used to doing things in a different way, but we adapted. Even we did our design thinking workshops for the big programs virtually, and it worked quite well. And we were talking about it, but the various modes that are available, Zoom, etc., with breakout rooms, collaborative platforms, like Klaxoon, Mural, etc., helped us to use it. And for the employees also, it was quite good, because they discovered new tools, which we never thought we can use. So we actually designed programs virtually and
Mm,
implemented this year some of our really big programs for managing directors, our women's program called Spectrum, for junior program people called Accelerated Development Program. All of these we did virtually, and the feedback has been really good. Of course, going forward, we would want to keep the face-to-face element, for some part, but now we know that we have other options to choose from, and we can be as effective. So for me, yes, it has changed drastically the way we look at, we do our programs, the way we do our discussions virtually. But I think it is a positive one.
yeah. That's great to hear. You mentioned kind of the challenges and how it's changed throughout the course of the year. So here we are in the middle of December, right? In the middle of the holiday season. Do you still
Yeah.
feel like HR is in crisis response mode, or has it stabilized?
In Asia, I would say that we have stabilized. There are, of course, still waves which are going on in different countries, and then we have to do a reactive kind of thing. But we are more prepared, I would say, because in the beginning it was really crisis. Now it has settled down. People are used to working, splitting teams, working from home, doing virtual meetings, and as I said, all kind of programs which are all virtually. So I would say that it has settled down, and now we are looking forward to new year with the strategy, which is also dependent on, if things go like this, we do like this. If things go like that, we do like that. So we have scenario planning. So there's still bits and pieces of crisis sometimes which appear, but overall we are very prepared to do things.
That's very good to hear. Um, so I think, for our last question here, what I'm most curious about is for you, what has been your biggest learning of 2020?
My biggest learning, actually, there have been multiple learnings
Hmm.
from 20. One is definitely resilience, that it's quite important, and what we can do as a human being, as an individual and as a company to make sure that we are resilient in different parts. Because I think if you're not resilient, then you cannot overcome any adversity. So 2020, we had many things, but there could be other things, like we had the financial crisis, 9/11, etc. So I've seen quite a number of them. But this one, I think resilience is very important. The second is that if we, of course, dwell on the negatives, then it's a downward spiral. So we also look at the positive things, what we gained out of it. Spend more time with family, or if we were away from them, still we managed to have connectivity, through various channels to see our family who are far away. We could spend more time thinking about our careers, and a lot of employees did tell me that they this time actually helped them to think about their priorities in life, whether it's family, whether it's work, or whether it's a balance of both. And it's also that there are many beautiful things in life which we actually miss out in the hustle and bustle of our, busy lives. So it's time to step back and think about it. So yeah, I had a lot of learnings, and I do see it as something which will help us to grow further, in the coming years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, those resilience and priorities that you're talking about, finding the positives is they go hand in hand, right? I think finding positives is a big part of resilience. So um, awesome. Very great. Well, Mukta, thank you so much for taking the time here to spend with us today. We certainly appreciate it.
Thank you, Lawrence. It was my pleasure.